decolonization in South Africa without a commitment to Pan-Africanism that seeks to undo the Eurocentric ways we have come to understand the world will become nativism. Nativism in Africa is built on the colonial account of who is indigenous. And we know that nativism produces xenophobia, and we've seen it slide into genocide. Let me clarify very briefly what I mean by Eurocentrism. Eurocentrism is an ideological term first coined in the 1970s by an African scholar, Samir Amin, an Egyptian Marxist economist who was a founding member of CODESDE. Amin used the term in the context of the debates about dependency theory, which was a theory developed by Latin American sociologists.
Ari Cetas. I'm an emeritus professor here at UCT and an honorary one in Stellenbosch, and I was the chair of the National Institute for Humanities and Social Sciences, where we started with a Charter of the Humanities and Social Sciences in the Future, a pressure on the system to start developing a decolonial project. And it's wonderful now to hear at UCT that these ideas are finding both an audience and very profound speakers enunciating it. The tension between deracialization, decolonization, between rights and between obligations, between kind of redress and transformation will be at the heart, has to be at the heart of the university system, and imagining what is beyond the river, as I said. And the humanities and African studies in particular has a duty to make us think about what can be across the river, and also what are the boats necessary to cross it at this stage. So I am delighted that this is happening, and I wish Professor Pillay all the courage and all the patience, and I wish him all the sleepless nights to fight this cause. Thank you.
I'm Professor Marcelo Rosa. I'm from the Rio de Janeiro Federal Rural University, and at the moment I'm a visiting fellow at UCT. And I came to Professor Suren Pillay's lecture today to get a perspective on the emerging scholarship of African intellectuals. And I must say that I've learned a lot. And I've learned a lot by the capacity of Professor Suren to engage what a professor from Brazil knows, engaging the whole history of African social thought in the 20th century. And from that, I also learned from Professor Pillay how to make the traditional African scholarship cope with the current challenges of the South African university. So that's my learning, and that's what I'm going to take to Brazil, back to my students and colleagues. As we say in Brazil, muito obrigado, Professor Pillay, pelo seu carinhoso ensino para todos nós. Obrigado.
Hi, I'm Professor Azim Badruddin, School of Education and Faculty of Humanities. Attended Suren's talk tonight. Fascinated where he started. Started at the point where it was very personal for me in terms of the apartheid, but and then felt like a jolt first in the sense that we share the history and a body, or a starting point in terms of our body of knowledge. But where he took us then thereafter through the African continent, across Europe, and bringing us back to Cape Town, took me on a journey through his thought process, through his intellectual journey, but also through a way of thinking about the world that I had not encountered before, and made me think about my own history in a very different way. So thank you, Suren, for what he did tonight. I thank him immensely, and it's something that I'll carry with me into the work that I do.
My name is Kaya. I'm part of UCT's intellectual community. My pedigree is from the law faculty. I came here as interlocutor, sort of an intellectual conversational partner. I was quite impressed by Professor Pillay's presentation. Professor Pillay is an intellectual of high ranking. He has been straddling ideas for quite a long period now. He is an intellectual of high note, as I said, I reiterate. Two things stood out for me in his presentation. Number one, the dichotomy between decolonization as a discourse and deracialization as a discourse. And then number two, the implication of decolonization on the emergence of the post-colonial state. As you know, there is an intellectual tradition among post-colonial scholars who argue that the emergence of the post-colonial African state is a problematic phenomenon because that post-colonial state is a state that is predicated on faulty foundation, what is called an epistemological crisis. So we see a state that is in contrast with the aspirations of the very same citizens that it must serve, what Spivak calls as the subalterns. So in synopsis, Professor Pillay is a great intellectual. He did great work today and I was overly impressed.